People joining us, please give a thumbs up or a love so that I know I'm live. I think we're live, but still, if people joining us can just let us know that we are live. Because today, being Monday, we are discussing on a very important thing, and very important topic rather, basics of business etiquette. Because sometimes as entrepreneurs, we generally miss out things, our behaviors. There are certain behaviors as a small business owner that we should ensure while dealing with the clients, going out for business meetings. And these are some of the basic things that we sometimes miss out, because of which we can might lose our projects, we can might lose the trust of our onto like other customers. And sometimes with those behaviors, only certain behaviors that we follow, we can have great projects in hand. So joining us today is an expert who is, through her work, is actually teaching us the basics of etiquette. She's a renowned image stylist and also a consultant. She's taking a lot of corporate training, especially with the entrepreneurs, corporate houses. Tina Walia. And while our guests join us and tell us certain basic etiquettes that one must follow as a business entrepreneur, I wanted to understand from each one of you that what are some of the habits, some of the behaviors that you always ensure while dealing with a client, certain things that you make sure you should follow while you are connecting with your customers. So while I'll take our guest in, I wanted to understand from each one of you. And thank you so much, all of you, for taking out time and joining us on a Monday. And I'm sure this Monday and these few minutes are going to ensure that you get to understand certain etiquettes that we as an entrepreneur should have while dealing with our clients. So I'm just taking our while our guest Tina Walia joins us, who is a renowned image stylist and a consultant. Yeah, she's already there. Tina, are you able to see me? Because I'm not able to see you.
Really? That's strange.
Sometimes we do have this problems with Instagram.
Oh,
That is these
okay.
days we're facing this
I,
glitch. So
I absolutely agree.
if
Are you able to hear
people
me
can
now?
see, yeah, if people can see both of us, let us know so that we can start the session. Because lately, yeah, it's visible. People are commenting visible. I think some technical glitch these days we are facing with Instagram, and it's
Okay.
okay. Then our team is saying perfect. So Tina,
Wonderful.
first of all, welcome and thank you so much for taking our time on a busy Monday.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to interact with you, Latika, and your community as well.
It's
So
always
thank
a
you for having
pleasure
me.
because always we tend to understand, we not only understand, we tend to learn so many amazing things from you as a kind of work you are doing, that it's a kind of a grooming session for each one of us.
Thank you so much. That really means a lot to me. Thank you.
So, I think I wanted to start since I was discussing about the behaviors, the etiquette. So, what are some of the basics etiquettes which an entrepreneur must have, the business etiquettes while dealing with their clients?
So, Latika, if you will allow me, first and foremost, I would like to share what are etiquette, because mostly when I take my training sessions, even for corporates, people don't know what etiquettes are.
True.
And usually, when I ask them, the answer I get is that etiquette is manners.
Yes.
But actually, it is not really manners. Manners, if I were to share with all of you, Latika, is simply a reflection of your attitude as a person. What our parents teach us, what their parents taught them. So it's passed down by generations, right?
True.
And I'm pretty certain most of us know that we have a lot of people in the world who have good manners and bad manners, right?
True. True.
So your manners are simply what tells you what to do in a particular situation. Whereas your etiquette is how to do it. It is like a step-by-step guide or a rule book of what is acceptable and appropriate in that situation, so that you can give the right kind of respect to the person who is there across you, or even to the occasion. So your manners are simply what to do. So if I can give you an example, if I meet you in person right now, I would
Hmm.
shake hands with you. That would be good
True.
manners,
True.
right? But how do you shake hands? What is the correct etiquette for shaking hands? You know, the fact that it should not last more than 3 to 4 seconds. The pump should be just 2 or 3 times. The pressure should be medium. not too bone crushing, not too limp, because even your handshake speaks so much about you as a person.
True.
So simply, I thought let us start the session by explaining to our audience what etiquette really means.
Very well.
And
Yeah.
yes, please carry on.
No, no, you were talking about it.
No, I absolutely just thought let me address now the second part of your
Hmm.
question. Certain things that all of us could keep in mind, when we are meeting our clients or our customers, we've attended perhaps an event, it could be a business meeting, is fairly simple. First, always be appropriately dressed. And as an image consultant, I can't stress that enough. When you're
True.
going to a business meeting, a business event, please dress a little more formally. And for that, it does not mean you have to wear a power suit, blazer, pants, nothing. It simply means that even if you're going to be simply dressed in an Indian suit or a salwar kameez, please ensure that the colors are darker because they project more authority.
Hmm.
Don't wear very loud, bright colors with big, bold prints because that can be distracting as well. Keep your makeup and your hair well groomed and simple. So certain things like that about dressing appropriately is something that I would stress on. Second would be punctual. Always arrive on time, because you have to show the other person that I just don't value my own time, I value yours as well. So being punctual is yet another one. Be a good listener. Don't assume that you know what the other person is going to say to you. Don't interrupt people while they're speaking. And beyond that, of course, your communication should always be very professional, very respectful, and appropriate. So this could mean, Latika, our
Hmm.
communication like online. It could
True.
mean communication over the phone, our written communication by way of messages or emails, or even in-person interaction. All kinds of communication has to be very clear, very concise, very respectful, and use professional language. Don't treat it very casually because
Hmm.
that comes across in a very negative way. So those are certain basics that I would say. And then, of course, we have to know the art of greeting somebody. So it's always when you introduce somebody or you greet somebody, it's always with some greeting like good morning, good afternoon, namaste, could be anything. And then when you're introducing them, say Mr., take their name, it could be their last name. And to add respect, so I could say, Latika, please meet Mr. Ramkrishan G. In our
Hmm.
culture, that affords even
True.
more respect. So
True.
please be respectful all the time, no matter what. And you need to know that before you start talking business, make some kind of polite conversation, right?
True.
So it could
Yes.
be anything. How are you doing? How is your family? I hope everything is well. Don't just start talking business immediately.
True.
So those are certain things that definitely I would say are basics.
I think the punctuality thing that you have mentioned, because especially for the small business owners, and we are also like working with a lot of women entrepreneurs. So we are seeing this thing when they tend to come, if we are giving some time and then they're coming after half an hour or an hour, because every time if you're making excuse also, it shows that there is no seriousness towards that meeting, or there is no seriousness towards the connectivity also towards that person also. No respect is there.
When people will come late and they'll say, oh, I met traffic. तो आपको पता
True.
था ना कि आपको ट्रैफिक मिलेगा. Factor in that extra 15-20 minutes
True.
to ensure that you're there on time. A lot of us women actually struggle a lot because we're trying to manage our children, we're trying to manage our houses, and then we're doing our business also. But
Yes.
just being a little mindful of how to manage your time, you know, is a huge, huge skill which will help you go and become successful in the long run.
True. Very well said, because this is one thing, like while having the conversation also with you, I wanted to share that punctuality is the first thing that person should understand, because making excuses is not going to help them. And then, of course, as you have mentioned about the kind of greetings one should have, it should not be that instantly you're talking about it. Be respectful also, because sometimes certain situations do arise. That's why also I wanted to understand with you, especially for the women entrepreneurs, because sometimes we have seen as a small business owner, we tend to just make sure that our quality of product is good. But sometimes there are certain feedbacks all over the social media, or when we meet in person also, there are certain feedbacks which can be a backlash. So how to handle that in a very polite manner?
So, being a kind of business owner myself, also in a way, we have a store in GK where we sell a lot of women's accessories and shoes. Normally, what we tend to do is we need to first be very calm, very respectful, very professional. Because आपको पता है आप जो सुनोगे, perhaps you might not like, but still be respectful to the other person, because this is actually your opportunity to build your reputation as a business owner. So हमारे पास जैसे Latika, if I were to share with you, somebody comes and they complains about the quality of the shoes. So I would ideally just start by acknowledging, okay, if I hear you correctly, the shoes are not okay. What exactly is the problem? You know, were they uncomfortable? Were you not able to wear them for a long time? मतलब क्या था उसके
Hmm.
बारे में? So
True.
acknowledge their problem, empathize with them a little bit so that they feel that they are being heard and they are being understood, right? So just, even if you need to apologize, if the situation requires it, just apologize, because ultimately the client or the customer is king. So you can
True.
politely apologize and say, I'm so sorry you had to face this discomfort, because of us. We've never really had this complaint before. But I'm so glad that you're sharing this feedback with me. So always be respectful, and then of course आपने जब उनकी complaint अच्छे से सुन ली है, समझ ली है, then try and offer the best alternatives possible. It could be that if the heel has come off, you get the heel fixed. It could be that you offer a replacement, agar you allow exchanges. It could be that you say, okay, I cannot give you a refund, but you could take a credit note which is going to last you for the next 2 or 3 months. आप उस टाइम में कभी भी वापस आके and you can do the needful.
True.
And if at all you have taken a pair of shoes, and I'm just giving my own example, and you say that, okay, we'll have it fixed and we'll send it to you by a certain time and date, please ensure that you do that, because that reflects on your professionality or your professionalism as an individual. ये नहीं कि अच्छा छोड़ गए, आज नहीं हुआ, आज टाइम नहीं है, कल भेज देंगे, परसों भेज देंगे. Please don't do that. That's what tailors and masters do to us. They take an order
True.
and then they're like, मैम आज नहीं हुआ, कल अगले हफ्ते, so that अगला हफ्ता never really comes.
True. Because we have seen these things that are happening, wherein sometimes when we receive customer reviews and we talk with the entrepreneurs to resolve that matters, so they generally come up with an excuse, I can say a defense module that they have now created with them,
Yes.
is that we are getting so many good feedback, so what one person is not liking. So I think that one feedback can also hamper your business, and especially if it's a social media, if one negative thing goes out, it can actually backlash you. So I'm sure through your example, the people listening to us will understand the importance of feedback and how to handle it also in a best manner.
You know, feedback actually is something which we in corporate language say is food for the champions. If you
True.
know how to take feedback positively, then it can really help you in the long run. So don't assume. आप अपने आप को in fact put them in their shoes. What if you buy something from Zara today and tomorrow you want to return it and they say, ma'am, this has a stain. Jabki you've not even worn it. The label is intact.
True.
How would you like it? So always put yourself in the other person's shoes, empathize with them, acknowledge, apologize, do whatever is possible to fix it, because if you handle that situation correctly, they will then refer you to other friends and family as well. And
True.
obviously, they'll come back to you also.
Because I've read also somewhere where it's mentioned that even if your referrals are also giving you, and someone who is a referral and the person came to you and the person doesn't feel good, then even the person who's referring to you will next time take a step back and will not refer you, thinking that my reputation is also now at stake if I'm referring this person, but the other person whom I've referred is not getting that kind of behavior. So I think that kind of things are also very important while you're dealing with the people.
Very well said. Completely agree with you, Latika.
So, like now we are talking about feedbacks, but sometimes there is a no also that we have to tell to the clients or a customer, especially like you are also into a corporate industry. Sometimes there are certain projects wherein you have to say a no because sometimes people come for bargaining, come for discounts, while sometimes it's like that your prices are very high. So, how to deal those situations also in a very like best etiquettes if we talk about.
So if I'm going to talk about, just say somebody is going to come up to me and ask me for a discount, right? How do we deal with that? Because that is something people think it's a huge achievement if they've bargained and got even 50 rupees discount from you.
True.
So you are always trying to struggle with that. But however, I think making them feel heard and acknowledging them is the first step. So I would say something like, I totally understand that you're looking out for the best value for your money. And if I were in your shoes, I would want to do the same. Okay. Second, if they are stuck on something which you cannot give a discount on, you can very easily offer alternatives and say, ma'am, I'm sorry, this is fresh stock and we are as it is selling at the minimum margins possible. We have so many overhead costs. So if this is something that I cannot give you a discount on, let me show you other alternatives which you might like also, which are on sale, or I can offer some better bargain on this for you. So you can suggest alternatives also. But if you feel that they are still stuck on that, then you have to bring out the salesperson in you and try and give them the benefits that they will get out of that product or service. Make them understand that if they get this, it will solve probably their need or some problem in their life as well as you can. And you need to even share with them that yes, you buy this at full cost, but this has maybe warranty or our after sales customer service is very good. But of course, sometimes they just don't agree. Then you just simply have to have your boundaries and say, ma'am, I'm sorry, this is just not possible. And perhaps you can look at other alternatives elsewhere. I am unable to help you here. So how to say no politely is also an art.
True. Because I've seen on the platform also sometimes when the women like they put out the things and the other because when suddenly the customer is not taking, so they'll just pester you behind, asking you, "Ki, Acha, now you don't want to sell. What is this? I'm coming to you." Because we've seen such kind of behaviors of people also in general, where the entrepreneurs certainly they just tend to become very arrogant while discussing with the customer. If the customer is not taking, they'll just start like refuting them back and talking very badly. So sometimes I also feel that this is not the right etiquette, like the way you are dealing with the clients.
Absolutely. फिर तो वो आपके पास कभी वापस ही नहीं आएंगे. In fact, if you
True.
deal with them politely, I have seen, Latika, that at times, even if they walk away and they'll go to 100 other places to check out other products, they'll still come back to you because you dealt with them professionally, calmly, and politely.
True, true. And
So
since we are, yeah,
yes, please
since we're
carry on.
talking about like our image as an entrepreneur also, because it's like more of now since social media is also there. So it is very important that with our kind of work, like if online presence is also there, so what kind of things that we should keep in mind, even so that while the customer is coming to us, the kind of behaviors online also we must ensure. Because more of online medium is right now there. So what are certain things like through our work also things that reflect some because those are the non-verbal behaviors from our work also from our profiles also things reflect. So what all things we should take care?
Yeah, so I think there's that term for it, netiquette now, digital etiquette, which one needs to be very careful and mindful of. Because if your bad behavior somehow becomes viral, people are taking screenshots and
True.
sharing it further and reporting it. So, again, I would suggest if you are somebody who has their business online, have two separate profiles, one for your personal life where you don't accept everybody and you can post whatever you want, however you want, even
True.
inappropriate pictures if you like, because a lot of people like to share their vacations and all kinds of things. Other profile should be strictly for your business, and in that profile, again, the way you communicate, through your written language also has to be very respectful, very polite, reflecting your professionalism as a person and as a brand, whether you are
True.
small or you're somebody big. So always be very careful to know that आजकल लोग screenshots लेते हैं, they share it further, they talk negatively about you, they'll tag 100 other people. So even if at times you get a negative or a toxic comment or feedback which you don't think is right, don't respond immediately is what I would say. ठंडे
True.
दिमाग से थोड़ा सोचो, cool down, and then respond. So we always say respond, don't react. React is when you'll immediately get upset and you'll write something which you might regret later, and it can make the situation much worse, Latika.
True.
Whereas response is आपने कुछ negative पढ़ा, you don't agree to it, you cool down a little bit, and then you try to write in the best possible way what response can I give them जहाँ उनको भी respect मिल रहा है and I am also not losing my ground. So always think with a calm mind and think very carefully what you want to write. I
I think
hope
it's a
that
very beautiful
answers your
thing.
question.
Yes, I think it's a very beautiful tip that you have shared, because sometimes as a person we tend to become like someone, if someone has just commented a toxic thing, we just wanted to react at the same moment to like, even I've seen a lot of people who are giving tips also. Sometimes there's a backlash of other people. So instantly that behavior will change. Even I've seen that with healers as well, because like they're talking about the things and then suddenly if someone is a backlash and they suddenly that calmness disappear. But a very beautiful tip that you have mentioned, we have to be calm, and we have to understand what image that we are giving out, because the other person has already reflected the kind of person they are, but we as a person, what we are giving out is also very important.
Latika, there are times when I get certain toxic comments or negative comments on my posts also, and I feel कि क्या, you're trying to do your best, and why are you being so negative here?
True.
But I never respond immediately. I will respond after 4-5 hours. I'll definitely respond, and I'll write something in a respectful way, so that जो दूसरे लोग भी आपके comments पढ़ रहे हैं ना,
True.
they also feel that we know who is right and who is wrong. And at times the person who wrote the negative comment becomes an ardent fan or your follower also later,
Yes.
if you deal with it properly.
Yes, very true that you have mentioned. It's only our way of dealing with things, our behaviors that should be like well groomed, because we can't expect everything from others, but then from ourselves, within ourselves, we need to transform and we need to understand.
It's they say we cannot control the outside environment or the other person and what they say, but we can control our own responses.
True,
That's the
true,
only control we have.
true. Dinesh, it is actually very lovely understanding with so many things. Like sometimes the basics that we or every one of us tend to forget, thinking that we have to, these are not our priorities, but these are actually our priorities. If we are going out publicly, and especially if you're a business owner, you have a responsibility of your business as well, and that image as well. So before we end this session, I wanted to understand three important, like you have given so many tips, but three basic important tips in order to get success in your business that one needs to ensure things.
So basically, there are 5 different types of etiquette,
Mm.
Latika. There is communication. So your communication always has to be very polite, calm, and respectful. Whether it is written, it is spoken, any kind of communication. Second, I would say is your fact that you always need to be somebody who is punctual and managing your own time. So don't take on orders when you feel that you will not be able to
Hmm.
deliver on time also. So
True.
punctuality is one thing, but time management is also a different art and a skill. So
True.
always deliver on your promises. That is very important. And then when you do that, people have higher respect for you and they will come back to you repeatedly. And the third would be, of course, if I were to say anything, it is after sales service. If we're talking about just small time business owners or ladies who are trying to venture out into their own business, so there have been times when people will come back to us after buying a shoe after 3-4 months, and then they'll complain ye ho gaya wo ho gaya, all of that. Whereas because they are repeat customers, or rather we want them also sometimes to become repeat customers, we will still say, okay, doesn't matter ma'am, we will repair it, please sit for a while or do something else in the market and come back. So there could be times when somebody buys a suit from us and then after 5-6 months she says, it's become tight, whereas tight pehle to tha nahi, they tried it, they probably
True.
put on a little weight, but आप फिर भी थोड़ा लिहाज करके you will do alteration. So be a little adaptable, always respect the other person, and
True.
how you conduct yourself says a lot about your business and you as a person also. And that is the only way to have lasting relationships, because at the end of the day, people don't buy services or products, people buy you. Who
Yes.
is behind that service or product? What is the kind of relationship you have made with that person? That is the most important thing, if I could share with you.
Very well said, because I think the way there are two things that I also wanted to take back is like through this session, because as you have mentioned, after sales service, so we have seen that sometimes people are not giving that service if someone has a feedback, and especially the delivery, because now festival season is coming. So those who are listening to us or will be listening after this session, with this I wanted to tell you about, because this we have seen that during the festivals they have all the blames on the courier services, but they might
Yes.
know that how much time that courier service is going to take. Sometimes they say that we are not the manufacturer, but we have just taken, but you are the face you with whom people are like dealing with. So you need to be very, you need to assure the delivery is on time, because that the other person who, like the client who has ordered something, they are not going to understand your pain points, and for them it's their need that you are selling. So I
True.
think
So if you
so,
ensure a good experience, people will come to you. And
true,
आपकी
true,
responsibility है, because it's your business. Your name is behind that business. You are the brand.
true,
Otherwise,
true.
nobody is going to come back to you ever. There are 100 other vendors for the same service or
True.
product.
And with the coming up with so much of e-commerce, so much of social media, now people have so many options also to explore. So now things becomes a
Exactly.
little more like the person should be a little more responsible, I must say.
Absolutely. And if you take care of these smaller details, there is no way that you will not taste success in your life.
True, true.
But
So
थोड़ा
I'm sure
effort
that
लगेगा.
I think that effort is required. And now at this particular point where people are like somewhere neglecting the etiquettes, because the throughout the conversation that we had, the calmness, the impatient nature that people have, the kind of like you have mentioned about the communication also spoken or written, people are becoming very arrogant, even if they're writing, there are certain abusive words, the language that they're using right now, like the scenario is such that people needs to understand that these are the need of the hour, the etiquettes are the need of the hour.
True, there's so much slang that people use in their normal language and they don't realize that this is not professional, respectful communication. The most annoying thing, if I can share with you, is when people will write PP, price please. Arey, पूछ लो बाबा. what is the price? Could you please share with me? कितना time लगता है? Or instead of writing OK, they'll write K. What? मतलब, how much time does it require for you to spend to write that OK instead? Is something that all of us need to be a little mindful of.
True, true. So thank you so much, Tina, for helping us and making the people understand this importance of etiquettes, the behaviors that they are doing. They are just doing this thinking it is the right way to deal. But I'm sure it's going to be a lot of learning in the future. Also, we are going to have with you. But thank you so much for today, and it's actually a very insightful session, I must say.
Thank you so much, Latika. Like I said, it's always a pleasure to interact with you. You're like a person, you have such a warm, genuine smile that you
Thank
just
you.
automatically feel happy yourself. And of course, your community is something that I really believe in empowering and giving back to. So, in whichever way I can, I'm always there to support you and be there with you. So, thank you so
Thank you
much
so
for having
much.
me.
Thank you so much. So this was Tina Walia who joined us today, and I'm sure this Monday is going to be a lot of enriching for you. You are going to start with Ganesh Chaturthi tomorrow, but I'm
Yes.
sure as an entrepreneur, you should understand the lot of basic like business etiquettes as well as the ethics to deal a business. So in the coming days, we'll be having more such sessions. But thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. Thank you so much, Tina.
Always a pleasure. Take care. Bye,
You
Latika. See
too.
you.
Bye.